The golden sun of southern Spain spilled across the ancient stone streets of Seville, turning the city into a living painting of warmth and shadow. Production trucks lined the narrow roads, cables snaked across cobblestones, and towering lights stood like metallic giants beside centuries-old architecture. The international film crew buzzed with nervous excitement. This was no ordinary shoot. It was the biggest historical drama of the year, and every eye in the industry was watching. At the center of it all was Adrian Cross. Adrian wasn't just a movie star, he was a legend. Known for his calm presence, disciplined work ethic, and mysterious private life, he carried himself with quiet authority. When he stepped out of his black SUV that morning, conversations softened and heads subtly turned. Dressed in a simple dark jacket and sunglasses, he offered a small nod to the crew before heading toward the makeup trailers. Despite his composed exterior, something felt different. The film's director, Mateo Alvarez, observed him closely from behind a monitor. Adrian had worked with Mateo before, and the actor was known for being punctual, focused, and respectful. But today, there was an edge, a tension beneath his steady movements. During rehearsals, his lines were flawless, yet his eyes seemed distracted, scanning the surroundings as if searching for something unseen. Across the courtyard set stood Isabela Marquez, the film's lead actress. Draped in an elaborate period gown, she shimmered under the sun, her costume adorned with delicate antique jewelry rented from a prestigious European collection. The centerpiece was a breathtaking vintage necklace, a sapphire surrounded by diamonds, rumored to be worth millions. Security had been tight since its arrival. Between takes, Isabela laughed with the costume team, adjusting the necklace carefully as assistants hovered protectively around her. Production staff whispered about the insurance papers, the security guards stationed nearby, and the strict access rules to the cast's private trailers. By midday, the heat intensified and the crew broke for lunch. Adrian remained unusually quiet. Instead of joining the others at the catered buffet, he slipped away toward the shaded corridors behind the main set. A production assistant noticed him pausing near the private trailer section, the restricted area. It was brief, just a moment, but moments matter. Later that afternoon, a subtle shift moved through the set like a change in wind direction. A crew member claimed Adrian had asked an odd question about the jewelry's historical background. Another swore they saw him deep in conversation with the head of security. None of it meant anything on its own, yet together, it formed a faint cloud of uncertainty. As cameras rolled again, Adrian delivered a powerful performance, his voice steady and commanding. Yet behind the applause of "cut," there lingered something unspoken. The kind of tension that doesn't announce itself, it simply waits. Unseen by most, a pair of curious eyes watched from a distance. And somewhere within the maze of trailers and locked cases, fate was quietly preparing its twist. The afternoon sun cast long shadows over the Seville film set as they raced to finish the day's shots. Everything was perfect until a scream shattered the calm. It came from the star actress Isabela's trailer. Seconds later she appeared, one hand clutching her bare neck. "The necklace," she whispered, her voice cracking. "It's gone," chaos erupted. The priceless sapphire and diamond necklace, the centerpiece of the entire film, had vanished. Inside her trailer, the jewelry case was open but showed no signs of a break-in. It was as if it had simply evaporated. Only a few people had access. Whispers started immediately. An inside job? An insurance scam? The director, Adrian Cross, watched the commotion, eerily calm. Someone remembered seeing him near the trailer earlier. As police lights began to flash against the ancient city walls, one thing was clear. Someone on this set knew the truth, and the mystery was just beginning. Night fell over the Seville film set like a velvet curtain, but suspicion kept the lights on. Police moved through trailers, security replayed surveillance footage, and the air was thick with real tension. The cast and crew, gathered under a production tent, spoke in hushed murmurs. Inside the security trailer, the director, head of security, and investigator watched a grainy monitor. Under the tent, whispers became accusations. Adrian sat alone, his silence heavy. Finally, an officer approached him. "Mr. Cross, where were you between 2 and 2:10? "I stepped away to take a private call," Adrian answered calmly. "Near the corridor. Did you enter the trailer?" "No. Can anyone confirm your call?" Adrian hesitated for just a moment. It was personal. That brief pause was all it took. Doubt rippled through the crew. Across the tent, the leading lady avoided his gaze, her mind racing. The necklace was gone, and the question hung in the air. Was Adrian Cross hiding something, or was he being framed? Follow for part 2 to see what happens next. Midnight on the film set, and the production had become a crime scene. Police tape fluttered in the Spanish breeze, and what was supposed to be a cinematic masterpiece was now a real-life thriller, with actor Adrian Cross right in the middle of it. Inside the makeshift investigation office, the tension was unbearable. The key piece of evidence? A 3-minute gap in the footage from a camera inside the star's trailer. A technician stared intently at his laptop. "It wasn't a random glitch," he announced. "The system was manually overridden, remotely. That changed everything." Security logs were re-examined. Only 2 people had the clearance for a remote override, a head of security. And the executive producer's tech consultant, Daniel Rivas, a man who was now conspicuously absent. Meanwhile, Adrian was being questioned. "You understand how this looks," the officer said. "You were near the trailer, the camera glitches." "Your hesitation," Adrian's gaze was steady. "Looking suspicious isn't the same as being guilty." Across the set, the lead actress, Isabella, replayed the afternoon in her mind. A detail surfaced. Just last week, Daniel had insisted on adjusting the lighting in her trailer, even asking for access to the wiring, including the security feed. "Why?" Back in the office, the technician shouted, "I found something." He turned his screen. In the reflection of a glass panel, at 2:06 p.m., a second figure appeared in the hallway opposite Isabella's door. It wasn't Adrian. As the frame sharpened, the face became clear. It was Daniel Rivas. Records showed his car had quietly left the area 30 minutes earlier. The case against Adrian began to fall apart. His private call? It was to his lawyer in LA about a contract dispute. His hesitation wasn't guilt, it was just discretion. He had been perfectly positioned to take the fall. This wasn't a simple theft. It was a carefully engineered plot, and Adrian was the perfect distraction. But one question remained. Where was the necklace now?
Have you ever heard of a movie plot that accidentally spilled over into real life? Well, get ready for a story straight out of a Hollywood thriller, except this one actually happened on a film set in the beautiful city of Seville, Spain. The movie, a high-stakes heist film, was already generating a lot of buzz. But nobody could have predicted that the real drama would happen off camera. Our story begins with a man named Daniel Rivas. On the surface, he was a respected tech consultant working on the film, helping with all the digital effects and security. But behind the scenes, Daniel had a much more sinister plan. His target, a breathtakingly beautiful sapphire necklace, a key prop in the movie, worth a small fortune. Daniel wasn't just planning a simple grab and run. He crafted a meticulous scheme to steal the necklace and pin the crime on the film's lead actor, the charismatic and famous Adrian. It was a bold move, framing a movie star for a major theft while filming a movie about theft. The irony is almost too perfect. So, during a chaotic scene being filmed in a crowded plaza, Daniel made his move. He managed to snatch the necklace, banking on the confusion of the film set to cover his tracks. He then planted subtle, misleading clues to make it look like Adrian was the mastermind behind the heist. For a moment, it seemed like his plan was working flawlessly. The production was thrown into chaos, and suspicion started to cloud around the unsuspecting actor. But here's where the script flips. The Seville police weren't just extras in this real-life drama. They launched a full-scale investigation, treating the film set like a genuine crime scene. They meticulously reviewed security footage, interviewed the cast and crew, and started piecing together the puzzle. It didn't take long for them to notice inconsistencies in Daniel's story. The clues he planted to frame Adrian were just a little too convenient, a little too perfect. As they dug deeper, Daniel's web of lies began to unravel. They discovered his mounting debts and his detailed research into the necklace's value. The final piece of evidence came when they located the stolen sapphire necklace hidden in his hotel room. The game was up. Daniel Rivas, the tech consultant, was arrested on the spot. The incident sent shockwaves through the production, but surprisingly, it had a positive effect. The director said the real-life heist brought an unexpected layer of authenticity to their film. The actors, especially Adrian, channeled the real tension and betrayal they felt into their performances. The movie went on to be a massive hit, with audiences captivated by a story that was, in a strange way, inspired by true events. It just goes to show, sometimes the most incredible stories are the ones that happen when the cameras stop rolling. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this crazy story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more. See you next time.